Hey guys, my name's Max Convexity. Welcome to Austin, Texas. What is intrinsic value? What is extrinsic value when we talk about option trading, and why does it matter, and why are all the people in the qqqy universe worried about it? All right, the easiest way to think about intrinsic premium, when you sell an option that's in the money, by definition, some of the options in the money, that portion of the option that's in the money is the intrinsic amount. There's also a portion of the option that's out of the money, and that's the extrinsic amount. This is super critical to understand because a lot of people I talk to about qqqy believe that the fund is going to erode and go to zero. Their rationale is these types of strategies, you get all the downside but none of the upside, so eventually it'll go to zero, right? That is where the intrinsic comes into play. Selling intrinsic, the amount that's in the money, allows the fund managers to capture that upside. Jay mentioned in the interview with the coach the other night that he wants to pay out the extrinsic premium, the out of the money portion, for a dividend. He didn't say it, but one would presume he wants to retain the intrinsic to defend the NAV, to keep the NAV up. Selling put options is a winning bet, especially put options on indexes. The reason why is put options on indexes trade expensive relative to calls. The reason for that is everyone sees the next black swan around the next corner. People are worried about the market dropping 20 or 30%. No one's worried about the market going up 20 or 30%. No one buys calls to hedge. People buy puts to hedge. So that's why selling put options is a winning bet. Institutions and retail buy puts to hedge against market crashes also. That also makes them more expensive. The funds that decay are the funds that buy options. When you buy an option, you're making a 1 out of 3 bet. When you sell an option, you're making a 2 out of 3 bet. These decaying funds would be, an example would be UVXY, TAIL, a tail risk fund, which I really like. It's a good fund. You also have CAOS, another black swan type fund. Nice funds, they do what they're designed to do, but they also decay because they buy options. The decay or the erosion in an ETF happens, that all you're seeing is the option premium coming out of the NAV. That's why those type funds like UVXY and TAIL decay. This has a very long and successful track record. Warren Buffett does it. Warren Buffett sold something like $7 billion worth of puts in 2006. The CBOE even has an index which shows you how you would have done going back to 2006, doing the same thing the fund does, selling an option continuously and rolling it and keeping all your money in treasuries. They have an index, CBOE has an index that you can follow every day that shows you the theoretical return on this. Look at this chart. Does this look like it's decaying? There are other funds that do similar stuff to qqqy. There's qyld is the most notorious one. A lot of people say it erodes or decays, and it doesn't even erode or decay. It does lag behind the benchmark quite a bit. The problem with the qyld is they use at-the-money contracts. They aren't capturing the upside. The qqqy, Defiance people, Jay, whoever, their strategy is the in-the-money options. So that small in-the-money amount is what will defend the NAV, and it will allow these funds to appreciate some. It won't get all the upside, of course, and we don't want all the upside. I don't want all the upside. I just want some of the upside and 50 or 60% a year, and I'm happy. So to recap, when you sell puts, when you do a covered call strategy, it's the same type of bet. You're making a bet that wins 2 out of 3 times. That's why these types of funds, like TSLY and qqqy and jepy, that's why they don't erode or decay. They accumulate or they accrete. So every day I do a daily recap and I draw a profit box. I do a chart of the market and I draw a profit box over the next day's action, and I show you where the NDX has to close for the qqqys to make money. And if you notice every day, it's the same thing. The fund can, or the index can either go sideways, go nowhere. It can go up a little, up a lot. the fund still makes money, and it can even go down a little. It just can't go down a lot. That's where this 2 out of 3 equation comes from, and you can visually see it represented in my daily updates. I publish one after the market closes every day. It's a good way to look and get a visual representation of what you're going for. So also, I'm not keeping track of treasuries on my little daily update. We know what interest treasuries pay. We know that 95% of the fund's money is in treasuries and it earns 4 or 5%. So that will also help us defend the NAV. That 4 or 5% plus the small amount of intrinsic premium that the fund managers are able to capture every day is why the NAV won't decay. I saw an interview with Sylvia Jablonski, and somebody was asking her, you know, how much this fund is going to lag behind the QQQs. And I believe her answer was, she said, say the QQQ is up 10% in a year and you're up 3%. You wouldn't be upset. And yeah, she's right. I wouldn't be upset. That sounds fine to me. So I think that's their plan, is to capture, I'd say, 1/3 of the upside. The good news is they only get 1/3 of the downside. Let's say the NDX goes down 30% next year. In theory, the QQQY should only be down 10% as far as the net asset value goes. Then when you add in the dividends it's been paying monthly, you should be well ahead of the triple Qs. It's important to remember about the treasuries, and they will help defend the NAV even though I don't track them. I'm just kind of a big picture guy, and I'm into the option strategy part of this. That is what's going to drive most of the profits. So to recap, the extrinsic captures what the fund will give back to us in the form of dividend payments. The intrinsic should go to help defend the NAV. We don't want to turn into the next qyld, and I don't think we're going to. I'm really excited, obviously, about qqqy and jepy. I think these guys have it figured out. Have a good day.